Welcome everyone to Marvel Hub. This is DK Dynamite, and it feels great to say that again. It's been well over a month since I made a video here on the channel. Matt and I took a little bit of an extended break from posting here on Marvel Hub, and right after about 3 weeks, we made a return, started making more videos again, but then unfortunately we got hit with demonetization. But luckily we got in contact with Team YouTube, and we got this channel back up and running just as good as before. So let's get right back onto the grind as we prepare for Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So today we have a leak from Big Red Toodaloo on the Marvel Studios Spoilers Reddit, who apparently has a leaked script for Black Widow. And in this Reddit post, he kind of broke down all of the major plot points of the film in a couple of bullet points. So let's jump right into that. And after this leaked script, we'll also be talking about the post-credit scenes for Black Widow, because a leak came out that apparently has information about the 2 post-credit scenes for the film, and they do tie pretty well into this leaked script. So either the leak's coming from 2 different people who do know legit information, or all of this is fake coming from one person, but we'll just have to wait and see. So the first bullet point here is that Black Widow starts right after Civil War and is meant to fit perfectly into rewatch chronology. There's a lot of fleshing out parts of the MCU you didn't know needed to be fleshed out, like Winter Soldier in that regard ties into Ant-Man and the Wasp in a surprising way. Rachel Weisz is Iron Maiden and is the main villain. Her suit is super cool. Taskmaster is more of a badass side character. Now, hold your horses before you get upset about Taskmaster only being a side character. There's a lot of good news in regards to his portrayal in the MCU, so stay put. Taskmaster is OT Fagbendo, and he dies at the end when Yelena kills him. Hearing he's back in the post-credits somehow, or there's a second Taskmaster, might have been working with Yelena to con Nat out of Fox charge the whole time. There are flashbacks to Nat's past, lots of Red Room stuff with young her, Yelena, Melina, and Alexei. They all have trauma from their past, and it's what bonds them. Drive of the plot is stopping Melina from reactivating the Black Widow program and ruining the lives of more young women. And Nat getting this device that is basically like the blocking system in Black Mirror and will make her Captain Falcon impossible to track. Movie is very dark, very John Wick, and very much an obvious, sometimes heavy-handed, passing of the torch to Yelena. Yelena will be a new status quo of Black Widow, who is the most ruthless MCU hero yet, and it's questionable whether she will stay good or bad. Natasha realizes through the events of this movie how important the family she gained in the Avengers is, and that's why she goes back to Cap and Sam at the very end. Super satisfying end to Natasha's character. Hawkeye, Jimmy Woo, and whatever Walton Goggins' character was in Ant-Man and the Wasp was named all have cameos. So what's funny about this is that this movie's supposed to tie into Ant-Man and the Wasp, which does make sense because chronologically Ant-Man and the Wasp will have taken place during the events of most of the plot for this film, right before the events of Avengers Infinity War. And then somebody in the comments of a 4chan post apparently revealed how this movie will tie into Ant-Man and the Wasp, and somebody who's anonymous went on and said that Fury is the one who was paying Walton Goggins' character to get Hank Pym's lab. They're definitely setting something up with Fury in the future with this and the Far From Home PCs. So Walton Goggins ended up playing Sonny Burch in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you could definitely tell with the plot of that movie that there was a lot more than meets the eye with his character, who was paying him, who put him up to the job, why he was doing what he was doing, and people out there have speculated that it might tie into Spider-Man in some way, where maybe the benefactor, who's a character that's supposed to be coming out in Spider-Man 3, could be Norman Osborn, who was paying Sonny Burch to do what he was doing in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Looking at this leak about Black Widow, it might have actually been Nick Fury. So in terms of why that's the case, it's definitely unknown as of right now. But here's an interesting point about the Taskmaster, because another leak that just came out, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days ago, was apparently containing information about the post-credit scenes for Black Widow that does tie in very well with the leak script we just went over. So this leak comes from Comic-Con Throwaway on the Marvel Studios Spoilers Reddit as well, and this person said that there are 2 credit scenes in Black Widow, mid and post-credits. Mid-credits you see Yelena Bolava arrive at a warehouse on a motorcycle. She goes inside and tells someone off screen that she got a device from Natasha. That's revealed to be Taskmaster, but in different, more traditional costume. He turns around and asks if they've done enough, and General Ross tells them that they are just getting started. The post-credit scene is Hawkeye on his farm with his son. He watches him play and looks at a picture of Nat, saying to himself that he misses her. So definitely seems plausible and ties perfectly into the leaked script that we'll have one Taskmaster throughout a majority of the film that ends up getting killed. Then we have another Taskmaster who might be a reoccurring villain throughout most of the MCU going forward in Phase 4 and 5 that will have been revealed to be working with General Ross, which does perfectly set up a Thunderbolts project, either a TV show on Disney Plus or an actual MCU film in the future. We've had leaks in the past that say that Thunderbolts is a project that Kevin Feige is interested in working with, so I think setting that up in Black Widow makes the most sense. Setting up a project with General Ross in a Black Widow solo film would be a huge opportunity that they definitely don't want to miss out on. General Ross obviously plays a big part in Civil War, so it makes sense to include him in some capacity in this Black Widow movie, which is supposed to be taking place in between Civil War and Infinity War. Now, there have been some set photos of General Ross working on whatever set it was, but you can tell from his appearance that it looks like he's working in a timeline that might be after Avengers Endgame with his cane. So what I'm going to assume about that is General Ross will have a couple of different roles in this movie where you'll have him making an appearance and doing whatever it is to drive the plot throughout the main course of the film, taking place in between Civil War and Infinity War. Then you'll have an appearance from him in the post-credit scene that might be taking place after Avengers Endgame, and then you'll see some stuff after that. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see in this Black Widow movie maybe a couple of scenes that do take place in present day after Endgame besides just the post-credit scene, because I think a big part of this is not only passing the mantle on to Yelena, but then also seeing how she handles the death of Natasha, you know, in whatever aspect they portray that in the movie, right? Because Yelena won't be a part of the Avengers Endgame battle, obviously she wasn't there, but maybe she heard about how Natasha died or heard about the battle going on. Maybe she was snapped during the events of Avengers Endgame. We just don't know. So we'll hopefully see the type of impact that Endgame had on her character to see how she handles that mantle going forward. But setting up a Thunderbolts project is exciting because you could do a lot with side villains and side characters that haven't been utilized that much in previous phases. And I think rather than giving them a Disney Plus show or putting them in, in a shoehorn MCU film going forward, you could put them together in this Suicide Squad-like project, but do what Suicide Squad failed to do, which is really resonate with the audience and have people really enjoy the plot and, follow some of the plot lines from the comics that Thunderbolts had and give Ross more to do going forward, possibly set up a Red Hulk storyline, and also kind of opens up the door to questions like, well, will Universal be open to allowing Marvel and Disney to do some solo Hulk films going forward without Universal having to distribute the actual film itself, right? Because Marvel and Disney have the actual film rights to the Hulk, but when it comes to solo Hulk films, Universal will be distributing that, which does suck because Universal hasn't done anything with the character for literally over a decade now. So I think it's time for Universal to finally let go of their Hulk projects, right? Or whatever they had planned. Give that all to Disney and let Marvel do what they've been planning on doing with the Hulk and General Ross. Allow them to do more with some of the characters they haven't been able to use, like the leader, who was obviously in the Incredible Hulk and was set up pretty damn perfectly towards the end of that movie. There's so much they could do with the Thunderbolts project that I think Universal really could help out a lot on by just giving Disney all the characters they no longer have. So I think Black Widow is going to be a film that not only explores her past, hopefully goes into Budapest, which I'll be talking about in a second, but also sets up some major projects going forward for both the MCU films and the MCU shows on Disney Plus. But when it comes to Budapest and some other flashbacks this movie's probably going to have, we don't know exactly if Sebastian Stan is returning as the Winter Soldier for a cameo in this movie, because we know from Civil War alone that Natasha has encountered the Winter Soldier before. She even mentioned it in the Winter Soldier movie that she encountered him many years ago. But then in Civil War, she gets strangled by him and asks him, well, you don't remember me? So I think they might have some type of surprise cameo in this movie where she has a flashback to that moment when she met the Winter Soldier many years ago when he was still under the influence by Hydra. Hopefully we see a little bit of that. Hopefully we finally understand what Budapest exactly was. And I'm sure if there's ever a time to explore what happened during those events, this is the movie to do it in. So fingers crossed they handle this very well and they do give us some surprise cameos. Now, I'm sure Samuel Jackson might have a small cameo as well at some point throughout the film, because there is a gap that should be explained explained, right? Because as this person said it in the leaked script, right, there are going to be parts of this film that you didn't really expect and parts that flesh out areas of the MCU that you didn't know needed to be fleshed out. And I think a big one is with Nick Fury, because you get kind of a return in the post-credits of Infinity War, right? We haven't seen Nick Fury in many years since his cameo in Age of Ultron. So I think filling in more gaps with Fury and what he was doing, maybe some stuff with Agents of S.W.O.R.D. that I'll be talking about in a separate video, that could be something that's really well explored in this movie. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn notifications on to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.